Hi, this is Jim Bergmann with Redfish Instruments, here today on behalf of Supco to demonstrate the Supco Techlink application and some of the guided tests that we can do and basically how to test a capacitor. Capacitors have gotten to be a maintenance item, and realistically they should be tested every time on every single job, and it's something that now we can document that we've done through the Supco Techlink application. This is really, really important because manufacturers have started to use a lot of them lower cost, lower quality capacitors. And because of that, they fail a lot of times right when they go out of the warranty period. So I can't stress enough the importance of testing every single capacitor that you run across out in the field. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk through a guided test on here, and we're going to do a bench test, and we're going to just simply select the type of capacitor we have. In this case, it is a single run oval capacitor. We're going to select the rated voltage at 370 volts and the rated microfarads at 7.5 microfarads of capacitance. Now, it's going to ask you to continue at this point. And first thing we want to make sure of is the cap is fully discharged and the wires are disconnected so we can make sure it reads properly. This is a cap disc pen. If you don't have one, I highly recommend you get one. It's produced by Supco. It just makes sure the capacitor is fully discharged. It's got a magnetic tip. It snaps right on there. You just touch the other side of the capacitor. If there's any energy stored in the capacitor, this little light here will go red. Very, very important that you make sure every capacitor is discharged. The larger the capacitor, the more energy it holds. And if you ever get knocked with one of these things, it'll feel like your arm got hit with a sledgehammer. And I guarantee you don't want that to happen. Most guys will tell you that run caps won't bite you, but I'll tell you from experience, if you have an open run winding, you can be sure that they will. So just to be safe, always make sure every single capacitor is always discharged. Now, there is one thing I want to tell you. You do not want to take and short across the windings to make sure the capacitor is discharged, because that creates an excessive amount of current and it can damage a capacitor. That's why we always want to use a 5 watt 20 k ohm resistor or a cap disc pen, which is a lot easier and safer to use. Now that we have the capacitors discharged, I'm going to go ahead and hit continue. And I've got my meter already set up for capacitance. You can see it says nanofarads here. That's just another unit of capacitance, a smaller unit. I'm going to go ahead and touch across my capacitor. We have to give that a few seconds for it to go through its scales, charge the capacitor. You can see it's reading 7.597 microfarads. I'll hit capture on that, and that's a pass. It's within the target range. I'll hit complete. Now, you'll find characteristic of all Supco capacitors is that they fall well within their rated tolerance. Supco rates all the capacitors at plus or minus 5 microfarads, and they're usually well within that every single time. This one read 7.596. The allowable 7.05 to 7.95. We're well within the center of the range on here. Now, this is very much to your advantage. You want to make sure that the capacitors are matched as closely as possible to the motor. And so you might find some cheaper ones out there that are plus or minus 6%, plus or minus 10%. And I'm telling you right now, that's not to your advantage nor to the advantage of your customer. The closer the capacitance is to the capacitor is to its rated capacitance, the more efficient the motor will run, and the closer that the power factor will be to 1, and that means we don't have a lot of wasted heat energy. Now, let's go back here, and I'm going to just run another test here, and we'll do the dual capacitor. I'll show you how that's done. So again, we're going to select capacitor bench test, and this time I'm going to select the capacitor from a list. Supco, when they're part numbers for their capacitors, a CD means it's a capacitor dual. So I'm going to go ahead in the search box up top there. I'm going to just type CD capacitor to dual. Oops, I didn't hit the C fully, so we'll just type that again. And it always goes with the largest capacitance first, so this is a 35. And you can see what's happening as we're filtering in a list here. And I could hit the plus or things like that, but I see here I got a CD 35 plus 5, 370 is the voltage, R, and it's a round. So when I tap that, it pulls in. It's a dual run round capacitor, 370 volt, 35 plus 5. Very simple. I don't have to fat finger in all that data. I'll go ahead and hit continue. We've already made sure the capacitor is fully discharged. So I'm going to go ahead and proceed with a test. So the first thing I want to do is I want to test from the common terminal to hermetic. And so what I'm getting here is the first set of readings. Again, let it fully charge. Once you see the readings stabilize on the display, go ahead and hit capture. Then you want to measure the second capacitance, which is hermetic to fan. Go ahead and give that a few seconds to stabilize. And you can see we're at 951 hit capture. And again, right away it comes up pass, good capacitor, both well within the range. I'll hit complete. I'll hit view test. In this case here, I want to look at the second test I've done. And you can see it's a bench test, date and time stamped. You can see it's a pass right away. My minimum and maximum for my high range, minimum and maximum for my low range. My measured capacitance of 34.88 and 5.92. Again, well within the range. So you can see how quick and easy it is to use the Supco Techlink application to actually test these capacitors, document that you tested them, and really assure that we don't have a callback in the future. It's a great feature of the application, something that we really enjoyed building out, something that really is, I think, very easy to use and probably one of the best ways you can test a capacitor on the market today. So again, thanks a lot for watching. This is Jim Bergmann for Redfish Instruments and Supco Techlink.